My name is Mara Leveritt. I'm an investigative reporter in Arkansas, and my new book about Barry Seal and the investigations that surrounded him in Arkansas has just come out. It's called All Quiet in Mena. In 1982, Barry Seal was a big-time cocaine smuggler flying between Central America and the U.S., making millions of dollars. And the DEA knew that he was doing that. He'd been followed by federal agents here in this country for a long time. They were watching him. They were trying to build a case about him. And they knew that at some point, this pilot from Louisiana decided to move his aircraft to the airport at a small town in Arkansas, right on the Oklahoma border, called Mena. So now Seal is flying in and out of Mena flying over his home state of Louisiana to get to Central America for the cocaine. That had a lot of distance for a pilot to cover. And so the question kind of was, well, why? Why did he move up here? There were other states closer to the coast, other things that he could have done, but he chose to come to Mena. 4 years later, and by the way, police in Mena were aware. There was a state police investigator who was aware. The sheriff was aware. They were reporting all this to the DEA. The DEA was aware. But the DEA said, well, we're watching, but they're not coordinating much. They're not telling any of the state officials what's going on. And state officials are kind of curious. Why is he keep on flying? The U.S. attorney at the time, when Seal arrived, was Asa Hutchinson, who is now the governor of Arkansas. He said, he was very law and order, anti-drug guy, and he said, hey, DEA tells me we got this drug smuggler working out of Mena. He asked an IRS agent to go and see if there was money laundering going on down there. And that was cutting edge at the time. People were not really, law enforcement was not really moving against the money, but that's exactly was the smartest thing to do because that was the foundation of the whole business. So he launched that investigation. That was in 1983. IRS agent starts tracking it and he starts getting information. Yes, it's not big time, but yeah, there's money being laundered in Mena. And he takes that back to the U.S. attorney, but really nothing happens. Now the U.S. attorney doesn't really want to subpoena all of the people who have agreed to testify about that. And that becomes a question for everybody in the state who is working on this case. People in Arkansas knew nothing about it. I was reporting, I knew nothing about it. Nobody outside of law enforcement actually knew that Seal was here. In 1986, Seal gets murdered in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And the circumstances of his murder were that he had been brought to court down there, and the judge said, well, for various complicated reasons, we're not going to sentence you to prison, but you do have to show up at a halfway house, a Salvation Army halfway house, and can't bring any of your bodyguards, and you can't have a gun, and you have to show up at this time every night and spend the night there for several months. At the time, that judge knew that the Colombian cartel had found out that Barry Seal along the way had become an informant for the DEA. And they knew that they had posted a contract of more than $1 million for his life. There were some Colombians in the courtroom when that order was given. And what do you know? A few weeks after, when the first bed became available and Barry Seal showed up at the halfway house on the night that he was supposed to be there, 4 gunmen stepped out of the shadows and shot him with machine guns. So he died right then. That was in Louisiana, just south of Arkansas. Nobody, even the newspaper, even reporters, it didn't even make the news here because it might as well have been some mob guy in New Jersey. It was just another slaying somewhere else. Nobody had any idea that he had been flying in and out of Mena for all this time.